What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD interview. Every single week we interview top entrepreneurs, top real estate agents, and just straight up top badasses that are out there doing massive things in their lives. They're going out there choosing to create epic lives, not choosing a path of mediocrity. So our guest today, you guys, I'm really excited to have our guest on. He's been a seasoned entrepreneur, seasoned real estate agent, been in the space, been a top producer for a lot of years. He's a guy that I came across his YouTube channel. As soon as I saw the trailer, I'm like, man, we got to have this guy on. Very successful, but also has a lot of fun in the business and in life. So really stoked and honored to have James Festini on the show. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me here.
Yeah.
By the way, I do watch your show, so it's an honor.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that, man. That means a lot. So, I know you've been a top producer for a lot of years, and you're doing a lot of big things, and have done a lot of big things in your career. But before we jump into that and what's going on today, let's rewind the clocks, man. I mean, how did you get started in this entrepreneur journey in the real estate space?
Well, my parents were agents in North Orange County for many years, and they were top producers. And I was in the Army, and I said to myself while I was laying in a bush, miserable and cold, or I was in between wars, so I didn't even see anything. I almost went to the LA riots. That's how close I almost got to action. That was it. But I remember laying there going, if I can just get out of this situation, and there was no situation, but it sucked, right? So I thought if I could apply half of what I'm having to do here for nothing, I got to get in the family business, because my parents were doing good. It was the 80s, late 80s, and then I was, in the Army early 90s. And so it was just one of those things where I came home. I really didn't have any plans for my future still. I just knew I wanted to get out. Joined junior college, and I had no idea what I wanted then, so I took acting just for the hell of it, because it was the only thing that looked like fun, when they ask you if you want to go to college. And within a couple of months, I met a girl, and her dad said, you better get your real estate license. You're not going to be an actor for the rest of your life. And I said, okay. So I took that path, joined under my parents, and that was the rest is history. I mean, I was with them probably about a year maybe before my head got too big for the team. I had my other family members, some siblings, and I just wanted more. And so I kind of broke away, and that was not easy because, they bring you in, but I went to a different town and started my own thing, and yeah.
Yep, no, I love it, man. So this is back, 1993 roughly?
1993 is when I got my license. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, we're in an industry with a massively high failure rate. 90% of agents don't make it past 3 years, and there's 80% year-over-year turnover rate. Kind of walk us through the first few years of your business, because you started under your parents, but then you branched off right away on your own, so kind of starting over on your own. What were some of those things that you did to ensure that you weren't a statistic like everybody, the vast majority that are in the business and out of the business very quickly?
Well, my dad was a buyer's agent, and my mom was more of the listing agent. And what we were brought into the business doing was cold calling. So it seemed kind of second nature. And my sister's an awesome telemarketer. I mean, she works for boiler rooms and crushes everybody in there, no matter how big the boiler room is. She's number one. Actually, there was a slow time in the industry where I went there part-time, and we were first and second place for months, and that was pretty cool to know that I can compete with a top cold caller. But I was doing a lot of prospecting for listings, even under my parents. Like I said, for that short time, we were just generating listings, never really going on any appointments because I was pretty young. And didn't really have any direction at that point either. Even when I got into the business, I fell all over the place, but I knew that just picking up the phone and prospecting was the only option. So, finger dialing on an old Plantronics headset. I actually had split, it didn't take me very long before I had split the headset and put it on one ear and then the other ear, and then just double fisted is what they call it. It's not very common, but you go with two lines and then dial both numbers and play and manipulate the mute button between dials so that you're actually sometimes talking to two people at the same time. I mean, it's kind of a game, but if I've just always been huge on massive amounts of cold calls.
Yep. So is that, fast forward to today's business, because with technology, I see so many people just so focused on that, right? And they've gotten away from a lot of the old school tactics that seem to be timeless and always get results. Has your business really shifted through the years? I mean, or is that still the big cornerstone of your business?
It's very different the way I've moved my territory three, maybe four times technically in this career. So I've pretty much started over in a brand new world. And the last time I did this about 15 years ago in this town, I did it right. I went out there, I door knocked, I cold called, I branded myself. I was always in a suit. I played a more adult role where before I was just constant, just having a good time. As soon as I was off, I would, jeans and t-shirt, I'm done. And people wouldn't know me. I didn't work on past clients, sphere of influence, just love them and leave them. Doing the same amount of business, but I did nothing for that past client sphere of influence. And it's kind of strange because my parents taught me that. Even though they've been doing it for so long, they never really did the whole past client sphere of influence. So we loved them and leaved them. And I've had a couple of people say, well, you got in the business because your parents gave it to you. I'm like, no, they didn't follow up with their leads. It's not like I walked into a database of good contacts. They didn't do the same. And this time, again, I played a very different role where branding was a very important part of it, getting known in a small town and just working it from there. But it was a very different thing. I still do the cold calling. I still, knock doors. I still do expireds. But it's just it's a more adult, I guess is the only way to put it. It's more like a business now and a brand that I've established in this town rather than love them and leave them.
Yeah. So you say, okay, you had to really reinvent yourself or start over three times, and I get this question a lot on the podcast of, hey Josh, if you were to uproot your real estate business across the country or whatever, what would you start out there doing immediately? So what were some of those things that you did do right this last time that made you successful? We talked about the branding and staying in touch with your past clients, but kind of break it down deeper of what that looks like, where it allowed you to have so much more success.
I think part of that was being a territory hog. When early in my business, I was with other siblings who we all had a territory for expireds, and so we would get one town and I would get another town, and it would suck because I would see me getting this town that didn't have any, and then my older brother, who's not in the business anymore. I'm the only one left in the business, by the way. But my older brother, who was in the business, would get all these expireds in this other town. I'm like, damn it! And that's kind of the reason why I broke away, was because I didn't like, hey, here, take this little pocket, and that's all you got. And it backfired because I just took on an entire county, Orange County, North Orange County, where I was calling all over the place. And there's no way for you to become recognizable and spread yourself more than 10 miles, really. I mean, that's a very big stroke when you look at geographical territory. So the first thing I did was, again, I got a house and moved in and wrapped I had got a Hummer right when I moved into this town. So I wrapped that thing before wrapping was anybody's, nobody was wrapping back then. But immediately branded myself as the town expert and then just started hitting the doors, hitting the phones. But you can't be a recognized brand overnight. I mean, honestly, I think it would take at least a year of some serious follow-up and marketing campaign, door knocking, cold calling, and just a combination of the old school, man. It's all grassroots stuff, but it's, again, I think my biggest problem was that I had spread myself out so far that there's a certain distance where it's the love and leave them crowd versus I'm going to follow up with these guys because they know these guys who know these guys, and it's a smaller territory. So it's kind of two different markets even.
Yep. No, love it, man.
Still working that too.
So when you got this, when you got your new clients coming in and you're closing deals, how do you stay in touch with them? Because the stats today are 88% of buyers and sellers said they love their agent, would use their agent again, but only 11% ever do a repeat transaction. And it's because they forgot who the hell their agent was, right? 7 years goes by, they never heard from them, they bail, like you said. What are some tactics that you do to stay in touch to make sure that you are getting that future repeat and referral business?
Facebook, that's an awesome tool. Everybody's on it. So, the majority of people, but it's kind of awkward too, because I do have a private life and a fun time. And then, there's the business guy. And so the Facebook page is just me being real, keeping in touch with people. I do make an effort to comment sometimes on the Facebook side. That's the easiest thing you can do is just scroll through and comment. If you're going to be on Facebook, put your people in a core list of past clients' sphere of influence, and then just kind of scroll through that database. And that's easy prospecting. Definitely business, Christmas cards. I know an agent or a company who I worked for 23, 22 years ago, and they still send me a business card or a Christmas card. So Christmas cards automatically like 250, 300 people every year. There's some people that I don't want to keep in touch with, so I let them fade. Some people move out of the area. Email, obviously. I mean, it's more of a passive approach. I don't do the whole pop in, drop off some random trinket just as an excuse to say, are you thinking of selling your house 3 months later? No. So they kind of just know I did a good job. I follow up. And but it's a whole different demographic to solicit these people who are bird dogs, as they call them. You ever heard of Mike Domer?
No.
He's in your neck of the woods.
Okay. Yeah,
Mike Domer used to be a real estate sales trainer, and by far one of the best ones ever. And he just did one little circuit, maybe 2 or 3 years. But he's in Arizona.
Okay.
And I believe Northern Arizona. He's not training anymore, but his scripts and dialogue stuck with me for a long time. And he calls that crowd bird dogs, the ones who go out and fetch the bird, people who go out and fetch you listings and referrals. And so you work those bird dogs with those by referral techniques. But I don't do a whole lot of that as far as the schmoozing follow up. It's just pop in, the virtual pop in every once in a while.
Yeah, and I think people, our lives are so fast-paced today that people appreciate that. I don't know if people really want us stopping by at their doorstep at 7 o'clock on a Thursday evening, saying hi, right?
Right.
So you've been doing this since 1993. You've had a lot of success over the years. Most agents that we see out there aren't able to shift and adapt and move through all these different marketplaces because you've seen some the vast different extremes, to great markets to nasty markets. What are some things that you've done over the years that you feel that have allowed you to keep growing your business and make it through all these different transitions?
Again, it's just got to go back to the basics. That's why I enjoy, teaching. I don't do coaching, but I like speaking it because it's just the fundamentals. You can go back and listen to Mike Ferry tape or Floyd Wickman tape from the 70s or 80s, and it would still be the same thing. And I could tell you it works. I could tell you, yeah, it's a brand new CD or a brand new MP3. And we'd be like, wow, this is great. Oh man, this is good news. Like, man, that was 30 years ago. It's still the same. Door knocking, cold calling. The only small upgrades in technology is do not call list. That's the only thing that really affected my efforts was a do not call list and no soliciting sign. Otherwise, man, it's just reaching back out, comply with the do not call, and using technologies like Mojo. Their dialer is priceless. That's automatic. And I like to door knock with an app called Spodio, which is a little GPS door knocking app where you can plot all of the homeowners. You import your title maps, or you call the title company, have them give you a CSV of the town. And Spodio goes on your phone, and you can see the name, address. It's your farm on the GPS, and as you're walking, you just tap on the roof, and then you go to the door. Not interested, and it gamifies door knocking, and you can follow up with leads, and you can be a little more consistent with that too. Pretty cool. So
when you're door knocking and cold calling, a lot of people don't take action just because they really don't know what to say and they can't wrap their mind around an effective script. Give us an idea of what you're doing while you're door knocking or cold calling that's working right now.
Numbers. Anybody can do what I'm doing. Some people might be able to do it with less numbers. Some people would have to do more numbers. It's really just a numbers game still. I go for 100, like 50 calls, contacts to people, and 50 doors. That's kind of one of my goals for the day. If I can pull that off by 1 o'clock, I'm off, man, because I've done more than anyone, most people in the industry. So it's really just a numbers game and a simple script, in and out, and not too many questions. Just keeping it simple, man. It's one of those things where you have to do a lot of numbers. And when I hear a lot of people say, oh, we'll go out and do 10 calls and, set 2 appointments. I'm like, what list are you calling where you can do such low numbers? I've been to the trainings before and the retreats and all that, and they talk about the numbers for turnover ratio for prospecting, and mine suck. If it's compared to theirs, I would be killing it. But if you talk to 100 people, my science has always been you might get 4 maybes, And my technique is more of a shotgun approach when it comes to prospecting. I'm looking for needles in a haystack, collecting needles so that I have a haystack of needles that I can go through later, and that's really, yeah, I'm searching for needles in a haystack so I can get a haystack of needles and then filter through those. So my process is really just hunting frantically for people who say yes or maybe, which is maybe is the majority. And then from there, slow down rather than a shotgun approach, go back in and do a sniper approach and reach out and find the people and call through the list of the maybes and, start sending them letters or emails or market snapshots.
Yep.
Just rising the cream to the top.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love that you brought that up. With a lot of these trainers that operate out there, they're not in the trenches and they've never been in the trenches like you are. So it's just theory, dude. I mean, and they're pulling these numbers out of their ass, and people believe them because they just quote stats, and people believe them. And and within my team, we find about the same numbers you are, right? 100 calls equates to usually 10 good conversations. If we have 10 good conversations, that typically over time equates to one appointment made. And those are, I think, those are the true numbers, man. And
yeah.
But the cool part about it is, you only need a small, minority of the people to ever say yes to go out there and become very, very successful.
Yeah, yeah. If you can get more of those, that's the beauty, is that if you can have no issue cold calling and generating those conversations, those, I call them maybes, when you're calling people and they say, well, maybe, you think maybe later, and they say, yeah, maybe later, you put them into a pile for maybe later and then follow up with that pile of people, your odds skyrocket that one of those will be like, yeah, actually I am. And it's just constantly stuffing the funnel and not giving up on the basics. And that's cold calling. Even to this day, I have to cold call. If I don't cold call today, I don't know what else I would do. Yep. My wife just yesterday, she goes, what's your plan for the day? And I didn't really have anything. I keep myself busy. If I don't have a listing appointment or disclosures to fill out, my day's wide open. So she asked me yesterday, she goes, what's your plan today? I go, cold call, door knock. I mean, what else am I going to do as a real estate agent? There's really, I don't know. I don't know what other people do. I'd love to watch and see what other people do with all that time if they don't have any business. And, I wrapped up a lot of business last year. So my funnel is full, but there's nothing coming out the other side yet. Any minute now.
I love it. And when you say you love to watch other agents, well, that's why they'd be making more money at McDonald's than they are making in the real estate space. Yeah. Like you said, man, if you're not on an appointment, you should be doing nothing else than setting the appointment. So I love that. So, but you're a dude that also, you talked about a brand and rocking the suits and kind of bringing that image up, but you still have fun in it. Like I said, first time that I stumbled across your YouTube channel, like a recommended video, and I watched your trailer, and here you are doing like the Van Damme splits on these sold signs. So you're mixing it up, man. Let's kind of talk about that, because so many people get so hardcore and so serious in their business, and they don't make it fun, and then they don't enjoy it, and they get burnt out. And how do you mix that fun in there and have enjoyment with it? And I'm sure it's got to have a positive impact on your clients, not a negative impact.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes people want serious. I deal with middle class, so I'm able to play that role. If you're in a higher end market, they don't really go for goofball much unless they're eccentric themselves, and then get ready for a fun contract scenario with those guys. But again, it has to do with, if I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I can enjoy it. If I go the whole day, I haven't earned the right to have fun unless I'm actually doing the hustle. So maybe these other people are just miserable because they're not producing results, even when the results are nothing. If I go in and do my prospecting and do my door knocking, then afterwards I can cut loose because I did my job. And I don't know, maybe that's why people are such jerks. And we do make a lot of money, and ego does play a lot into that. And it's funny, the ones who make less or have the bigger egos to make up for that. It seems like the higher production, the less ego. Yeah. Unless, it's like the old timers, then, they just built in ego from old school, attitudes. But no, it's, as long as you're doing your work, then you can have fun with it. And I never worry when inventory is low. I never worry if a week or 2 or 3 even goes by without getting a listing or getting an appointment, because I'm doing that. I just have this faith that no matter what, if you make your calls, you're going to get something. unless the whole market goes to crap. Then yeah, we're all screwed. But otherwise, even just now, like I said, January, very slow. I'm used to having maybe 10 listings by the end of January. I'm at like 1, but I'm shoving the funnel and I'm not sweating it because I know perhaps February is just going to explode. Maybe I'll get 20 and I'll have no room to breathe because it's that chaotic from stuffing all of that funnel. So you just can't worry unless you're not working.
Yeah, and then even when the market crashes, you just transition those calls. You start calling short sales, you start calling banks, you start.
It's exactly what I did.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Love it, man. So, what do you do personally for goal setting? You know, right? Because I mean, you're at a position right now where you could just start gliding, and good becomes the worst enemy to greatness. You know, it's so easy to get comfortable and all it's good enough. And you know, what do you do personally to keep leveling up for your goal setting, to constantly keep growing?
Find people who are doing better than you and you feel envious of what they're doing, but not cynical. And that's a gray area, especially with YouTube. You can find so many gurus and you can say, you know what, I want to do more. Like even me, I can skate, but I know if I stop calling now, within 6 months, I'm jobless. So it doesn't compute that I could relax because I don't get enough past clients, sphere of influence referrals to feed my lifestyle. You know, I like to go on vacation. And so I guess maybe I could pay the bill. No, even that, man. I'm at day 0. Every day is my first day. It's like I have nothing on the board. So your question was, how do I have fun?
Not just how do you stay motivated with your goals and your goal setting to keep pushing?
Yeah, just like I said, find mentors. I think this year was one of those years where I was just consuming way too many podcasts, and I was listening to too many people who might have one tidbit of information, and I was spending a lot of time. And if they say the sum of the 5 people you hang around with most, but if you're a real estate agent, you're screwed because there's no one to hang out with but yourself and maybe your family. Or the water cooler crowd that doesn't do much. So you need to try to avoid having a mentor by proximity instead of and ease of access to them through YouTube videos. You've got to find maybe 3 or maybe 5 masters that you can go to because you can go to them now. Back in the day, all you had was Tony Robbins via infomercial. And so you say, okay, he's the master and I'll stick with him. Now with YouTube and podcasts, it's very easy to click on your desirable, mentor and get stuck in that rut where you're listening to people who aren't better than you. So for me, I chose mentors this year where I shaved almost all my podcasts and, narrowed it down to people like Grant Cardone. That guy, he gets me going, Gary Vaynerchuk, he gets me going in that avenue. Just watching people doing things that are similar to me. But the trick is watching them, again, without being cynical. So if you're watching these people, they probably did this or, they have a golden spoon and all, then don't follow them because you've got more going on in your background thinking yourself bad things about what you want to be rather than positive things. Does that make sense?
Yep. No, I love it, man.
Just find better mentors and be careful how many you download. Just keep it to a limit. And so, yeah, Gary V and Grant Cardone are pretty much just the only 2 people, and then some random spiritual type. Sam Harris, if you've ever read his stuff. Yep. So he's my spiritual leader. Stuff like that.
Yep.
Do a lot of Audible. I shifted a lot also to pulling back on the podcast and dumping money into Audible. So I Audible read 2 books a week easily because it's just better. And there's so many business books out there, some that you sweep through once, some that you go through 2 or 3 times because that good 10X, the 10X rule. I'm like my 3rd time around because it jacks you up.
Yep.
And then there's other ones where you're like, that was good, but I'm done.
Yep. I see your books behind you. You can tell that you're into self-development. You just alluded to that. What are some of the, top 3, 4, 5 books that you've read over the years? And I get asked this question. It's such a difficult question because there's so many great books. But what do you feel for your real estate business specifically that have had the greatest impact on your business and that aspect?
One, and oddly enough, it never comes up, almost hardly ever, but it changed me for everything, and that is Og Mandino's Greatest Salesman in the World, Part 1 and 2. I kid you not, on the back of my calves, I have the scrolls and the vows from Part 1 and 2, as big as my calves are, written on the back. That's how important those things are. Yeah, if there's one book, it would be Og Mandino, Greatest Salesman in the World, Part 1 and 2. Just priceless. And 10X Rule. I'm really digging that. Frederick Eklund, the guy from $1 Million Listing, just put out a book. Super legit, I listened to an audio. And that's a good one, too, to get you going. I enjoy that.
Yep.
And of course, mine. I just wrote a book, but that's my hobby. But it is a metaphysical, introspective, motivational type of read. So if you like things like As a Man Thinketh, Unlimited Power, I wrote a book.
Yeah. So what's the name of the book? Where do our listeners go to learn more about it? To buy
it's
it?
on Amazon. Yeah. It's called Life. There's an app for that, and it teaches you to program, in a sense, anchoring, NLP style stuff. But it teaches you to program apps in your mind so that you can program certain outcomes for any scenario and say, okay, I'm going to run this app or I'm going to run that app. It teaches you how to it's like anchoring when you pick a situation that you can't overcome and you build an application in your mind to say, okay, if that situation ever comes again, I'm going to pick up that Fearless app, or I'm going to pick up anti-anxiety apps. And it's like a user's manual for the brain. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's hard to describe though. It's a very, it's a interesting read.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. I mean, I'll definitely, as soon as we hang up here, be going and getting it, checking it out. So, real quick though, a couple last questions for you. But before we jump into those, how do our listeners, if they want to reach out to you, if they have questions about you, if they want to go check you out on YouTube, or just get in touch with you? I mean, what's the best place to reach out to you?
Just wherever you go, most. Just look up James Festini. I mean, I'm on Facebook. Twitter, I check. I mean, I get Twitter, but I just don't, it's still not there. I check it all the time. But Facebook and my website, my real estate site's James Festini. And then I have my podcast, YouTube channel. So, yeah, lots of places, man. I'm not hiding.
Yep. Love it, man.
And according to this podcast, I'm not even busy. So call me, guys. Yeah.
Yep, love it, man. So, all right, so let's say, and I guess this is kind of you've already done this a few times, but today in 2016, if something happened and you had to start all over from scratch, right, to little to no resources, and I think I already know what your answers are going to be here, but what would you do immediately to go out there, knowing what you know now? Let's say you're financially wiped out, but everything that you learned over all these years in your career. What are the first 2 or 3 things you'd immediately go out there and start doing to rebuild your book of business?
I would contact 100 people, and I would door knock 100 doors, and that would be it. Keep a decent database. Find whatever CRM you're willing to use. I juggle 3 CRMs right now, but I've mastered that juggling act so that it functions. Each CRM has its functionality, and just make sure you have a good follow-up plan, because you will generate leads. But if you're very good at generate leads and you enjoy door knocking, you got to make sure you're doing it with purpose, and that is putting them into the funnel so that you can follow up properly. Yep. So 100 doors, 100 calls every day.
Yep.
Except for Sunday.
Just out of curiosity, and I know our listeners will be wondering as well, what are I know you talked about Mojo, and Mojo is really a calling CRM, if you will. What are some of the other systems that you use right now that are doing a great job for you? I
call it the Mojo Follow a Boss Top Producer dance. Okay. Because it literally is a dance between the two. The easiest way to say it is that Mojo is my dialer, and it is almost my primary CRM, although I don't send letters through it or emails. That's where everybody goes, but Mojo is my dialer. So if I'm going to talk to them on the phone, they go in there. But I also have Follow Up Boss for my email functions only. I don't go and put next call date or next contact date, but they are automatically in there set up to do newsletters or whatever I want to do, emails. And then the third one is Top Producer, which Top Producer does my physical mailings. So I've got my print house Top Producer, I've got my email marketing campaigns going through Follow Up Boss, and I've got Mojo that does my dialer.
Yep, love it, man. And that's kind of the hard thing out there is there's no perfect system that has them all. You know, every top producer I talk to is always operating out of a few different systems. So
yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah. So
it's a shame.
Yeah. So well, with that being said, man, you know, this podcast was created just I know in your YouTube channel and with your podcast, this is what you're doing is just to go out there and have a positive impact on other people's lives. You know. So with that being said, man. Do you have any last words of inspiration or motivation that you'd like to leave our listeners with so they can go out there and create that epic life for themselves like you've been able to create for yourself?
Well, there's two different kinds of agents out there. There's going to be the ones who go out there and do a one-man show for the rest of their life and go out there. So either you're going out to run a marathon or go out to complete a marathon in good time and then become a trainer or a guide for multiple marathon runners. And what I mean by that is like the Keller Williams model, where if your ambition is to grow massive teams and expand and do that and babysit a bunch of lunatics, basically, then follow the people who have done that before, like you, like the Ben Kinneys, like the Kinder Reeses, who have expanded that model and crush it there. Or if you want to do like the one-man shops where it's just a one person, there's plenty of coaches out there. Mike Ferry's still good. Floyd Wickman's still out there. Tom Hopkins. They've got all those archives where it's more like the one-man operation or one or two team. And you just have to decide early on which one you want to be and focus on those things, because it's a very popular model now to do that expansion. And there is money in it, a lot of money in it. But you just have to know which one you are and follow the path of those before you who have done that and listen and just be careful with your gurus, man. It's just too easy. There's too many ding-dongs out there training. So limit who you're talking to. That's my best advice I can give right now. Yeah. I learned that just this year. It took me 23 years to find out. I've been listening to the wrong people, hoping that they can give me one bit of advice when there truly is, only a very small group of people who have walked the walk and talked the talk, and stick with those. There's, I think, 10 of us out there. Yep. You're one of them. So listen to your podcast.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. Powerful words, and I couldn't agree more. I think, today information is becoming a problem just because there's too much. So you got to study the people that have done it. How can, if you've never done a cold call, how are you going to teach me how to do cold calls, right? If you haven't built a business doing it, you have no business teaching and training on it. So I couldn't agree more. So, to our listeners out there, I know we end every podcast with this, but information without implementation is the start of delusion. So take some of the knowledge that you learned today, right? Knowledge is not power. It's when we take action on that knowledge that it creates power in our world. So James shared a lot of massive nuggets with you guys of what it takes to go out there and become uber successful in this business. Take some of the stuff that he shared with you today, start implementing, take a massive action, and go out there and create that epic business that you want. And James, this has been a huge honor, man. I know how busy you are. I appreciate you taking your time out of your day to be here, dude. You guys go pick up James' book. I know I'm going to go buy it right now. Like I said, man, this has been a massive honor. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And good luck on your shows, man. It's a good thing you're doing out there, for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. All right, you guys, we will see you next time.